Story 1. I am 32 years old, and what instantly frustrates me is internet illiteracy. I am not talking about young children who have not had the chance to learn. I am referring to people around my age and older who have used the internet for a significant portion of their lives. It does not matter how many times they are warned. They still click links in emails, invest money into online businesses without asking important questions, click suspicious ads, and accept whatever image they see is real. It never ceases to amaze me how many people fall for these things repeatedly. Then they complain about their computer not working correctly or become angry about something that is not real. It is just so maddening. Story 2. People do not listen or pay attention to you when you are speaking because they are distracted by their phones. Story 3. People who finish using something and just leave it, like making a bowl of cereal and leaving the box on the side without putting it back, annoy me. The same goes for milk being left out. Story 4. When one person at work makes a mistake and instead of addressing it with them directly, everyone has to go through training to avoid repeating that mistake, even though most people already know not to do it. It is frustrating to sit through that training and see the one person it is meant for showing no sign of understanding or learning. Story 5. People who talk on the phone using the speaker setting or people who listen to music in public on their speaker cause annoyance. Story 6. People on speakerphone in public places or not using headphones to listen to music. I will immediately dislike and judge you harshly. Story 7. People who think being 23 means I have unlimited energy, no stress, and my whole life ahead of me, so I should not be tired or anxious. I am 23, not a Disney Channel character. Rent is due, my back hurts, and I have to search how long to boil eggs. Let me be tired in peace. Story 8. Painful urination. As a paramedic, it really frustrates me. Do not mention blood in the urine or I will become very angry. Story 9. That is the hardest question I have seen on Reddit, to be honest. So many things upset me. I am a moody, feisty girl. Story 10. The rising cost of living is becoming more and more insufferable each year, while the extremely wealthy worldwide spend billions on frivolous things. Story 11. A dog is barking nonstop. My neighbor has a small dog that barks continuously. Why are people okay with this? Story 12. Pulling a muscle in my neck because I sneezed or tried to get out of bed in a way that offended the gods. Story 13. People being rude to retail or food and beverage workers is unacceptable. It is worse when an older person takes their frustration out on much younger people. This behavior is completely inappropriate. Story 14. Older adults being rude to customer service representatives. They show no respect or common courtesy. They appear very entitled, and it is problematic. Story 15. People standing in the middle of the sidewalk force you to either walk through them or into the street to get around. Please share the sidewalk. Story 16. When I talk about my disabilities or menopause and people say, "But you are too young." I am not even 40, so obviously I agree, but it is so invalidating and hurtful. It makes me not want to open up to anyone unless I know they understand. Story 17. People who have no urgency for important things. Are you okay? I'm fine. Am I not allowed to be tired? People who are late. Story 18. I'm 64, less than you think. I don't like bigots or racists and have little tolerance for them, but that mostly means ignoring them and putting them out of my mind. I guess the biggest issue is unsafe drivers, and not for the reason you might think. I drive a semi-truck across the country. I do true long haul. During the summer, I service cruise ships going to Alaska, but the cruise company we are contracted with has its main logistics center in Miami. So on Friday, I get in a truck, go to Weston, Florida, near Miami, and then drive that truck to a cross-border company at the Canadian border in Washington state. That's 3,500 miles, about the longest one-way truck trip you can get in the continental United States. I spend a lot of time on the road doing serious defensive driving with average car drivers. Most of you have very little understanding of the limits of my truck and how long it takes me to stop when loaded. You think nothing of cutting off a truck, but if, for some reason, you slowed down too much or stopped, I would run right over you. It takes me about 100 yards to stop at highway speeds with a loaded truck. That's the length of a football field. People in cars who take unnecessary risks around trucks frustrate me a lot. Most of you have no clue about the risks you are taking, and the consequences could involve me, you, and totally innocent drivers in other vehicles. I drive on average about 110,000 to 120,000 miles a year. In the 15 years or so I have been doing this, I have logged over 1.5 million miles of driving in a truck. All of them accident and ticket-free. I know a bit about driving and how to stay safe. The last thing I want to do is hurt anyone on the road. I want us all to get home. Drive sane and safe, folks. Story 19. Ghetto kids and teenagers in public areas causing a scene. I am black, 24 years old. I just ordered McDonald's a few hours ago, and this kid started cursing at the cashier, calling everyone offensive names, talking nonstop about how tough and dangerous he is. The kid is about 12, while all the adults around me just rolled their eyes and ignored him. Of course, these are what we Chicagoans call dreadheads, but I feel like if I ever end up going to jail, it will definitely be because of some wannabe ghetto kids who caught me on the wrong day. The harsh truth is that the same kid might come to the same place you eat and shoot you just for calling him out. I will speak for everyone. If you are a wannabe gangster or kid roaming the streets, nobody cares about your street credibility or the neighborhood you grew up in. I repeat, we do not care. Story 20. Just over 50. My prostate does not cooperate when I want it to start or stop. Sometimes it will release after you are done. What a nuisance. Story 21. Lack of empathy. I am old, and I am sick to death of people not caring about each other and the environment and the gaslighting. I am tired and angry often. Story 22-26. Almost 27. I have a lot, babies and toddlers. People with zero situational awareness, such as booking 16 appointments 5 minutes before close without knowing their schedule, or walking in the middle of a parking lot lane so you cannot go around them. They always do it slowly. People who cannot pay attention to anything without looking at their phone multiple times. Anything loud, especially children, which relates to the first point. People who have absolutely no personality. This could be an extremely long list. Story 23. Megas Velveeta Voldemort's voice. I am so over being embarrassed and humiliated for being a United States citizen. Story 24. Parents who overly indulge their children and give in to every tantrum. Stop trying to be friends with your children. You are their parent, not their friend. Story 25. Children screaming excessively. I can handle a little bit, but eventually it feels like it echoes throughout my head and drives me crazy. Story 26. The country is moving toward authoritarian leadership. The majority of elected representatives are ignoring our Constitution. Story 27. Being interrupted while I am clearly talking. Someone trying to parent you when they have no business doing so. People clogging a public toilet or leaving stains on the toilet seat and not cleaning up after themselves. And the biggest of them all, sitting in the left lane doing absolutely nothing. Not passing anyone, not speeding up, not getting over. Just sitting there. Then the person on the right is also oblivious and does not slow down or speed up so others cannot pass the slow driver in the left lane. The lesson is to get out of the left lane if you do not have a mission. Story 28. Bosses lecturing me about company values when after a certain age we all know what is going on. It is either about liability or profits. Also, when spelling lose, do not spell it as loose. I am not smart by any means, but Jesus Christ. Story 29. When grown adults have a temper tantrum when they do not get their way. People stealing, spitting or littering, chewing with their mouth open, listening to anything on their phone without headphones in public. People not using their turn signals or tailgating. When people breathe very loudly. Story 30. Wear your seatbelt. Wear it. I don't care if it's uncomfortable. I don't want you to become a dangerous projectile. Wear your seatbelt. Story 31. I am 20 years old, and my lack of motivation makes me very frustrated because there is so much I want to do, but I cannot bring myself to do it. Story 32. People, you just enter your personal space bubble, and you aren't expecting it. Just stay on your side of my invisible line, please. Story 33. The strange idea in today's society that being cool means not caring about anyone or anything. Way too cool to care. Story 34. Children and babies. But these annoyed me when I was a child, so maybe mine is not age-dependent. Story 35. In my 30s, I would say wasting my time and loud smacking while eating. Also, people who stand too close to you in the grocery line and people who cut you off. You honk and they flip you off. Story 36. Managers who have the mentality of, if you are not 5 minutes early, you are late. There is a lot more, but that was just what came to mind. Story 37. Confederate flag on a large damaged truck driven by a young man around 20 years old, playing rap music loudly. Story 38. People who bring the whole family to the grocery store on weekends when it is busiest. I understand the husband and the kids, but does Great Aunt Sally and her entire side of the family, including Uncle John, need to be there too? Please stop congregating with 50 shopping carts in front of the eggs. Age 26, by the way. Story 39. Bad parenting. There is no excuse in 2025 for someone not to at least be trying to be a good parent. There are too many resources. Story 40. I am 26 years old, and what instantly frustrates me is people my age and younger purposely having children when they have unstable relationships. No education, no career, emotional problems, and no parenting skills. Having a child accidentally is one thing, but deliberately bringing a child into a chaotic life is incomprehensible to me. Story 41. Ageism. I am a former software development project manager. My husband was a system tester. Yet, because we are older, we are assumed to be technically illiterate. Story 42. Babies crying on television make my dog start barking every single time. He is not normally a barking dog, only when he hears babies crying on television. Story 43. Zero spatial awareness, talking on speakerphone or listening to anything in a public place without headphones. Children who are allowed to be raucous with no consequences, taking up more space than needed, excessively loud vehicles, repeating myself when someone is supposed to be actively listening after asking me a question, and lack of technology literacy. Story 44. Judging anybody by their age for almost any reason. You get one lifetime on this planet, and we are all navigating it at our own speeds. I do not care if someone is 18 or 81. You do you. I do absolutely judge people for their actions, but not for who society wants them to be at this moment. Story 45. Anyone who still supports the president is shocking. How can anyone still support the person with the red hat? It baffles me. Story 46. People tell me I do not know what I am talking about just because I am younger. I know my stuff. Story 47. If I see someone treating their dog or children poorly, I am instantly angry. I do not care what they think. I will say something. Story 48. The automatic punching down of younger generations. I remember every near-death, stupid thing I did and keep moving. There are idiots in every generation. I have honestly learned a lot from my sibling and their friends, and from my son too. Story 49. People who pull out in front of you from a driveway or parking area at high speed, then proceed to drive below the speed limit. Story 50. Unnecessary noise. Why is your dog on your patio barking for no reason? Why is your child screaming while playing outside? Story 51. Bad drivers. I understand that your parents may not have given you attention as a child, so now you take it out on everyone on the road. However, I just want to reach my destination safely. Story 52. Too many things. Crying babies, whiny children, slow internet connection, slow drivers, grocery cart in the middle of the aisle, people having a family reunion in the middle of the aisle. Story 53. People talking at the movie theater or live theater. Also, people looking at their phones in a dark theater. Story 54. Baby boomers who act disrespectfully to everyone should be held accountable. It is not acceptable to excuse their behavior by saying they are old, tired, or in pain. Story 55. Being plain rude to strangers because you do not know them is unnecessary. There is no harm in being nice and helping people for the sake of helping. Story 56. Generation Z influencers. Hey chat, let's go have some fun and tease strangers. Will they like it? This is a social experiment. Story 57. Children under 20 who think they understand the whole world and are grown-up show fake arrogance, and I mean fake. Please stop being so obvious. I can sense your anxiety, and that is okay. Story 58. Hearing about men my age and older dating girls who are barely 18 and still in high school, I find it disgusting. Please take a step back. Story 60. When I talk about how hard life is and somebody older says, "Welcome to adulthood," it instantly makes me want to punch them in the face. Story 61. Slow walkers taking up the whole main street so you cannot go around them, especially when you are in a rush. Story 62. Store managers and adults automatically assume that 13-year-olds are going to cause havoc everywhere. I have been kicked out of 2 stores and threatened with the police being called for doing nothing except walking around. Story 63. Using a form of social media that relies almost entirely on its users having basic reading comprehension skills for proper use, but finding it overrun by people who seriously lack those skills. Story 64. People who cannot handle any criticism, people who always act like victims, or any similar behavior. Come on. We, people in my age range, are all approaching 30. Let us start acting like adults now. Story 65. Reckless drivers. I want to see one of those dangerous drivers get pulled over after speeding and weaving through traffic on the highway. Story 66. People expect you to be happy and cheerful every second of every day, and when you are not, they consider you rude. Story 67. Automatic hand towel dispensers in bathrooms. There is no need to automate that, and it makes you perform awkward movements to be able to dry your hands. Story 68. Loud cars. Why does it feel like suddenly everyone in the world has a loud car? You are not cool. Story 69. Thinking that whatever you search on Google or Chat generative pre-trained transformer now, it gives you the correct and unbiased opinion. I mean, what? Story 70. Kids on other people's lawns. I'm with the old man. Why are they on his lawn? Get off his lawn. You know how hard it is to grow perfectly green, even grass. I don't see a single reason why random kids should be running around in random neighbors' front yards. They were in our yard once. Why are you here? Go away, kids. Also, people who litter or show general disrespect for public property. Things like trampling on gardens or graffiti on road signs, under bridges, on random walls. The only exception is proper graffiti that a shop owner has clearly paid for. All ugly tagging graffiti screams, "This is an unsafe area. It is not monitored. If you get stabbed here, there would be no witnesses. Do not walk these streets." I hate knowing how many thousands of dollars have to be spent by councils repainting the same walls every year because some snot-nosed brats think it's cool and funny to spray their name all over a wall. Story 71. People yelling at me in a professional situation. I now realize it is due to my abusive childhood, thanks to therapy, but it still triggers me deeply. You are at work. At least try to stay professional. Story 72. When I am forced to attend family gatherings and hug and kiss people I barely know, all I want to do is stay in the car with my headphones playing loud enough to hurt my ears. Story 73. General rudeness, arrogance, ignorance, entitlement, and behaviors such as slurping hot beverages instead of letting them cool down. Story 74. Everything frustrates me. My country frustrates me. Work frustrates me. The ultra-elite wealthy people frustrate me. Corporate America frustrates me. Everything. I'm tired of my job. I'm tired of listening to my bosses complain about traveling the world for vacations and work while calling me from their beachfront penthouse. I'm tired of people acting like my age group is lazy and entitled when all we are doing is calling out the nonsense. I'm tired of my government being selfish money-grubbing people who have no regard for the average American, and I'm tired of their followers who just want to troll. It frustrates me that America has taught us that we live to work, not work to live, which is shown by barely getting time off, and when you do get that time off, they expect you to be recharged and ready to go. When you're not, you get the typical corporate response until they take more time off and rub it in your face with their out-of-office automatic reply. I am out exploring castles and roaming the cobblestone streets of the United Kingdom. I shall return in 2 weeks when I'm done adventuring. Shut up. The lack of empathy in this world also frustrates me. Kids are growing up absorbed by their screens with no chance to enjoy their childhood or be raised by their parents. It frustrates me that parents expect their kids' teachers to raise them. It frustrates me that people think they can dictate what others do in their private lives. It frustrates me even more knowing that the government thinks they can tell people who they can or cannot be. What frustrates me the most is that I am only 25, and I know it only gets worse. Story 75. People who think having a valid argument gives them the right to berate another person. You can explain a grievance without going out of your way to kill a person's confidence. Story 76. At 19 years old, every baby boomer assumes that kids my age don't know how to sign a check. I had to take a whole class on it. That's how I learned to write my signature. I know they make it up to prove some point, but it just gives me an instant feeling of discomfort. Story 77. As a 40-year-old millennial, when my Generation Z coworkers complain about tasks at work, I have zero patience. At my job, everything is easier than it was 18 years ago when I started. Also, when they order DoorDash for poor-quality fast food and then complain about their finances, I shake my head. Story 78. That we have been conditioned to hate so much. It is not just politics. Even sports generate a localized mafia mentality. I mean, am I happy when the team I follow wins? Yes. But I by no means think I have earned any trophies myself, nor do I think their wins or losses reflect on me as an individual. Story 79. I am 27 and I cannot stand popular internet language. I know I am just being irrational and grumpy because it is from a generation I am not part of. It just sounds so stupid and annoying. Bro really thought he had that charm. There is obviously more important stuff to be annoyed by, but this was the first that came to mind. Story 80. Younger, less experienced colleagues questioning my advice or directives. Asking questions and questioning are very different. I welcome questions. I abhor being questioned. Story 81. When a man or woman looks like they just came out of the slums and asks me on a date, I say, "Baby, can you even afford Waffle House at 4 a.m.? Before anyone gets upset and throws a fit, if you ask someone out on a date, you pay. You are the one asking for their time. It is the responsible and reasonable thing to do." Story 82. People who sit in a car with their feet or foot on the dashboard, or the driver sitting with a foot up on the seat, risk serious injury if they are in an accident. I do not know why some people cannot sit in a car like normal people. Many forget that accidents can happen at any time to anyone, and also about airbags deploying. Story 83. My mother-in-law showed up at my house at 8 p.m. and did not leave until midnight because she got into a fight with my sister-in-law and father-in-law. I do not mind them coming over most of the time, but coming late and not an emergency is unacceptable. Please leave. Story 84. People my age complain about children today. It is the exact same thing every generation. 20 years ago, these same people were the children today that the older generation complained about. Story 85. Currently, at my age, people who take advanced placement classes, the really difficult ones like advanced placement chemistry and advanced placement physics mechanics, and don't even try, like they use chat generative pre-trained transformer on every assignment and don't even try on tests because once the advanced placement test happens, it's all over. It genuinely frustrates me because why would you take a rigorous course just to not even try? Story 86. Dismissive, unforgiving, judgmental, hateful, ignorant, egotistical people. I may not be a Christian, but I do my best to treat my neighbor as I would want to be treated. I am a feisty, relentless person when you cross my boundaries. Story 87. When something is dumped near the place it is supposed to go, but not actually in the proper place. I am talking about garbage on the counter when the garbage bin is 2 steps away. Dishes in the sink, which is literally right next to the dishwasher. Toilet paper and diapers on the floor beside the cold room door, where we keep the extra toilet paper and diapers. Just finish the job, people. Story 88. 24-year-old female, when people tell me they do not know how to parallel park and are not willing to learn. I think this is more of an irrational anger, but it frustrates me. 3 times in my life, I have had to switch with the driver so we can park on the street, 2 of which were my ex-boyfriend and my current boyfriend's mother. Story 89. So many things usually boil down to a lack of responsibility. personally, within family, socially, environmentally, and economically. If something needs doing, do it. If you mess up, own it. Story 90. Inconsiderate and ignorant people. People who drive well below the speed limit. People who stand in front of shelves or refrigerators at supermarkets as if nobody else is trying to do the same thing. People who walk through doorways only to stop and block everyone else from passing. People who think the world revolves around them when it clearly does not. It is probably more accurate to just say people. Frustrating people. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.